The African Democratic Congress has cautioned Tinubu against interfering in the affairs of state governors, declaring that the Nigerian constitution does not empower the president to hire or fire elected governors. But he has done this, and I don't know where he's bringing what he's using to back himself for the action he took. I don't know. ADC, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary Bola Abdullahi on Thursday, emphasized that such actions undermine democratic principles and the autonomy of states. Fubara has returned to his role as governor of Rivers State, with the State House of Assembly also resuming its legislative activities. This follows the lifting of the 6-month emergency rule earlier imposed on the state by Tinubu. Tinubu officially ended the emergency rule on Wednesday, bringing to a close the special measures he had declared in Rivers State on March 18, 2025. In a speech on the cessation of the emergency rule, the president said the governor, His Excellency Sim Fubara, the deputy governor, Her Excellency Ngozi Odu, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly and the Speaker, Martin Amewule, will resume work in their offices from September 18, 2025. It therefore gives me great pleasure to declare that the emergency rule in Rivers State of Nigeria shall end with effect from midnight today. Okay. Reacting, ADC accused Tinubu of masking politics as leadership, saying his actions in Rivers State will define his legacy. He stated, on Wednesday 17th September, Nigerians witnessed a curious spectacle. President Tinubu directing the governor, deputy, and members of the state is the one who will direct them. The president's decision to arrogate to himself the power to suspend and recall elected officials in Rivers State as he had done is whimsically autocratic and should be recognized and condemned as a threat to our democracy. The ADC retreats that what has happened in Rivers State over the last 6 months is brazen manipulation of constitutional provisions to serve narrow political interests. We harbor no doubt that the situation that served as the pretext for the declaration of the state of emergency was a clear act of political contrivance that only demanded the president's unbiased political intervention. Instead, the president chose to serve the will of demagogues in his government, deploying the power of the constitution to attack what he should have protected. The party decried that for 6 months, the will of Rivers people was ignored and their elected leader sidelined, not by a court but by a fellow elected president. Of course, they are both elected. It continued, now, with the wave of a hand and a link from his pen, the same president has decided to allow other duly elected officials back to work as though they were his political appointees. Let us be clear, governors and legislators in the democracy do not even draw their legitimacy from Aso Rock. They derive it from the people who elected them. Only a competent court can remove or restrain them, not a press statement or presidential proclamation. Like I said, I don't know what they were quoting that in 1960 something, 1910, that they were using some sort of law to justify that act. Yet we recall that this president once claimed to be a federalist who has a state governor himself fought to protect the relative autonomy of his state. However, this action, the president and his men were achieved their goals, and that goal was not to restore peace or to Rivers State. They now have a thoroughly pacified government in Rivers State, which has learnt its hard lessons that its primary loyalty is not to the people of Rivers State but to Abuja. More importantly, the Rivers State experience would now serve as a clear warning to other state governments in the country to behave themselves. In keeping with their well-worn propaganda, presidential aides announced that the president had cut short its vacation to attend to the worsening security situation in the country. This claim is indeed laughable, but it is now made clear the president did not even return because Nigerians have been by, or because life has become unbearable for the majority. He returned for one season by only personally oversee the return of Ubara to office and bask in the glory of the dictatorial powers that he had assumed for himself. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Is ADC a court? Okay, do we have a constitution? The question should be what we all need to answer. So guys, let's say your opinion and have your take on this. Thank you.